Thank you for tuning into my channel. We're working on the super simple baby quilt today. So if you want to see how to make this a full quilt, please stay tuned. Here is the super simple baby quilt that we started with on last week. If you didn't get to see that video, I'll link it in the description box so that you can go back and watch it. What makes this really simple is that there are just 4 blocks. Each one of these blocks we cut at 15 inches square, stitched them together, and then I added a 4-inch border around the side. And so today we're going to do like a really simple way to turn this into a quilt with not a lot of extra sewing. So first, what I'm going to do is measure my quilt top, and it is a square, so I'm just going to go with the same measurement both ways, but I'll measure just to be sure. This is 36 1/4 by hopefully 36 1/4, but it really doesn't matter. This says 36 1/2. So basically a square, just barely a rectangle. So we're going to use these measurements to fill in the batting and backing for this quilt. Now normally what I would do is I would take this and I would put a backing on the floor, then put the batting, and then put this back on top, pin it, quilt it, and bind it. But to make it a little simpler, we're going to we won't do all of those steps. We're going to do just kind of a flip out technique. So you probably have seen this before, but I'll show it anyway just in case. For my batting, I have just pieced together some excess batting that I had. You can see the Velcro, you can see the zigzag stitch where I just put these pieces together. And I probably should go through and take all these little pieces of lint off, but I'm not going to really stress about that. I think it'll be okay as long as we don't see it through the quilting or through the top of the fabric. So I'll probably just take off the really dark pieces in a few minutes. But what I'm going to do, oh wait, let me show you the backing first. One cool thing about this really simple quilt is that since it's not quite one with the fabric, I don't have to piece the backing. I found these kitties. These were in my my latest free fabric haul, and this piece I actually cut it at 44 inches. So it's going to be big enough so that I don't have to like piece it, and I won't have to do any extra to it to get it the size I need. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull off these strips because this is the right side of the batting. If it was the wrong side of the batting, it wouldn't matter that much, but I'm going to pull them off anyway, because since I have some light pieces on the top of my batting and my backing is light, so I want to get as much of that off as I can. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready to sandwich this quilt. And since I'm going to flip it out, then I'm going to do a slightly different technique from what I normally would do. So in order to get this so that I can flip it out, I'm actually going to put the batting down first. And the batting is wrong side up. And I will get it as flat as I can here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and now I'm going to put my backing fabric down, and I'm going to put this right side up. So the wrong side of the backing is touching the wrong side of the batting. All right, and if it hangs over the edge, I think that's a really good thing. That's going to be perfect for what we need it to do. Again, I'm smoothing it out, getting it as smooth as I can so that it'll be nice and smooth once it's quilted. All right, here we go. And now I'm going to put my quilt top on, and I'm going to put right sides together on this. So right side of the batting, or the quilt top goes on to the right side of the backing fabric. Okay? Again, getting it as flat as I can. I got some little scraggly pieces here. I'm going to cut those off before I stitch. Alright, and what we want is just like it is now, where it's hanging over the edge. We have the backing hanging off the edge and the batting hanging off the edge. We do want the batting and backing bigger than our quilt top. So again, getting it as smooth as I can. And I'm actually gonna put some pins in here. So let's do that. I'm actually going to leave one side or one part of this open, so I'm going to set aside my opening first. Since we are going to turn this, what we're going to do is stitch it all the way around and then turn it inside out so that we have it all stitched together. Okay, so I'm going to flip this, I'm going to pin this first, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and do a 1/4 inch seam. So I'll do that. Actually, I'll do the pinning, and then I'll meet you back upstairs and we can do a little sewing. So I have everything sandwiched and ready to go. I'm at the machine, and I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch around the perimeter of the quilt top, and then we'll be ready to flip it inside out. I will show all of this on camera, but we'll speed it up for the sewing because I am a slow sewist. So we'll speed it up starting right now. Oh, I am going to back stitch at the beginning of the seam of the stitch line and at the end of the stitch as I come around. I've stitched it all the way around except for this little pocket at the front. Now when you make a quilt like this, you do lose a little bit of control over the movement of the fabric. So there was a little bit of movement as I was stitching it, but I hope that doesn't affect it too much. It's time for the turning now, and so I'm going to clip the corners almost to the seam line, but of course you don't want to clip your seam. And the reason that I'm clipping the corners is just so that I can get some nice points, hopefully, after the quilt is turned. I'm not sure because I'm looking at some of these, the corner seams, and I didn't get good points in the corners, so we'll see what happens. So now all I'm going to do is put my hand inside here and flip this inside out, and we'll see what we have. I'm going to try and push my corners out as much as possible, but this isn't hard. It's just a matter of flipping it. And there are some really ingenious ways of turning a quilt inside out through this method, but I don't know any of them off the top of my head. So I'm just going to do what I can do. Alright. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to try and get these corners out as best I can. And then if I have to, I might have to get back in here and do it. But it's really, I like it. I like the way it feels. It feels pretty good so far. So all I'm doing now is just poking the corners out as much as I can get it. It doesn't have to be super pointy, but if I can get a nice point, then that's like a bonus. Alright, and then the last one. Okay. That one's not coming out as strong as I like it, but it's alright. Okay, so this is what we have. I could, and I might go through and just kind of smooth out these, the sides. Just kind of make it, and I might give it a press, we'll see. And then we can get ready for quilting. So I'm going to go ahead and do these corners down nice and or these sides, roll them just so that they get nice and smooth. And I think I will give it a press, and then we can talk about quilting. So I have everything pressed out, and now the edges, they look a little bit cleaner. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be, I just want it to be something I can kind of live with, so it will be easier to quilt. The next step is going to be to stitch up this opening, and all I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to try for like an 1/8 inch seam allowance and just close up this little hole, and then we'll talk about the quilting. So I'll do this and then we'll quilt. All right, so for the quilting, I decided to do something that I saw on the Jordan Fabrics channel. She calls it drunken quilting. I did one line right here, and all you do is I just have my my normal open toe foot on my machine, and I'm just gonna move the quilt back and forth as the machine stitches to make a gentle wavy line. And I'll show you that one time on camera, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. But I figure I need, for this fabric, probably quilt about, I'm going to try to quilt it about every 4 inches or so. And so I kind of mark the top of the lines with the pins, and I'm also going to go one time in the border, in the top, in the side borders. I don't think I'm going to do the top border and the bottom border because they'll already be quilted. So let's show you how to do this. So all I'm doing is I'm going to remove the pin that I marked here. And I didn't backstitch the first stitches, but I may go back and add some extra stitches in there. But for all the other ones, I am going to backstitch, just do a little short backstitch to tack down my stitches. And so all I'm doing is, as the machine moves, I'm just going to move the fabric back and forth to make a gentle wave. And then once I get to where my hands can't move it anymore, then I just stop and reset my hands so that I can start over again. And I haven't changed anything on the machine. I'm just moving the fabric back and forth to get that nice wave pattern. And again, I stop and adjust my hands. And then, like that. And so hopefully you can see it on camera. It's just and I have my stitch length set as almost the longest stitch length so that this will be fast. Just resetting my hands. And it doesn't really, it doesn't pull too much, which is nice. But I am, it does take a little bit of force to move it. And I could have done this with free motion, but I just didn't feel like getting all that out today. But you can see that each line doesn't take very long because I'm over halfway done. And the only issue that I have is that the way the fabric moves is that it's going to affect the bottom edge of the quilt. And I don't know if I can... I don't know if I can adjust that. So, I'm almost done, and I'll show you this at the bottom where I said that it was kind of And then when I get to the bottom, I'm going to back stitch there as well. Okay. Alright, so let me show you that where the fabric kind of does its own thing at the bottom, just because of it pushes it. And so here you can see down at the bottom of the quilt, it kind of folds over on itself. But I'm not going to really stress about that. I'm just going to make sure that all of my stitches are going in the same direction. So it'll be kind of pulled down the whole way, just on one side. So I'm going to finish this off camera, and then I will show you the final product. So here's the finished quilt with the, I hope you can see the little gentle waves that are at intervals in the quilt. And of course, with this pattern, you can do as much or as little as you wanted to. I just wanted to keep it really simple so I could get it done quickly and get it out so that you could see this process. So overall, it's just a really nice baby quilt, not too much quilting, simple to make, simple to put together. So if you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!